welcome to the WHIM Life show, where we use wisdom, humor, inspiration, and motivation to help you truly live your one unique life. Today, we're going to talk more about the next in our series of the 9 pillars that I use as guiding posts in my life, and that is giving. This is such a super important part of my day-to-day. So I would wager a bet that when you think of giving, the first thing that comes to your mind is money. While that is certainly one of the most powerful ways to give, it certainly isn't the only way. Second on that list, typically you hear, is the gift of time. Time is literally our most valuable asset that we have in this life. So giving of that time in a volunteer capacity is incredibly valuable, not only to the receiver, but also to the giver as well. So combining that time and money can really, really, really be life-changing. I want to share an example. So on a regular basis, I meet up with a group of about 8 to 10 women typically. We go to a local restaurant for dinner. We try really hard to make sure we're choosing a locally owned place, as we know that they have really struggled over the last 18 months due to the pandemic. So we feel it's extremely important to show our support to those local entrepreneurs. But that isn't all that we do. The waiter or the waitress that is assigned to our table is in for a real surprise when we come in. At the end of our meal, as we are paying our bill, we call them over to express our sincere gratitude for all that they have done to make our dining experience that evening enjoyable. Once each of us has an opportunity to speak to them individually, making sure that they know that they are appreciated and seen, then we each hand them a $50 or $100 bill in turn. So I really can only imagine how they are feeling, but I can tell you that the feeling that we get at the opportunity to truly affect the life of another human being is so incredibly fulfilling. So that's one of the greatest ways that I've been able to give in my current phase of life. But what if in your current stage of life, every penny counts and there just isn't any extra to spare? Or you're working full time and going to school full time, so squeezing out more time just isn't an option. I definitely get that. I've actually been there, literally have been there. I recall going through the nickel toy sale for gifts for my kids for Christmas, or counting change to buy groceries, or the time that I was working full-time for the Postal Service doing data entry while also carrying about 20 credits in college and sleeping in the parking lot in the evenings because there was only 3 to 4 hours between the two, work and school, and I lived like 45 minutes away. So believe me when I say I know exactly what that feels like, to be in a position where giving of time or money just isn't really an option. But despite the obstacles, whatever they are for you, you can absolutely still give. So let's brainstorm a little. You can donate blood. It can be life-saving and literally takes about 30 minutes. So that's not even an entire lunch hour. If you shop on Amazon, choosing a charity through Amazon Smiles allows you to give without ever spending an extra dime. And those dollars get put towards that cause. You can always, of course, donate any of your unused or unwanted items taking up space that then allows you to clear up some of your space for more opportunity and creativity to flow in. Maybe when you make dinner, you make an extra portion and take it to the elderly man down the street. If you have a garden that produces more than you can use, you can donate the extras to friends, families, neighbors, whoever. Another great way, I think, is box tops for education for a local school. These are on items that you already buy, And I'm sure you have a local neighborhood kid that would happily pick them up and drop them off for you, so you don't even have to take time to do that. Just cut them out. How about collecting spare change? And then when you get a decent amount, then you can drop it in a fundraising can, or the Salvation Army kettle, or a donation plate at the house where you worship. Anything else that might work for change donation. We've all heard of paying it forward at the line at the coffee shop, but I challenge you to think about this a little bit differently. Instead of buying the Parsons coffee behind you, maybe tip your barista that extra amount, because they can probably use it a whole lot more than the guy in the Lexus behind you. You can snuggle pets at the local animal shelter. Animals need so much love, and there just aren't nearly enough volunteers for that fun job. I literally think I could go on and on and on with a lot of different ideas, but I would love to also hear yours. If you've got an idea to share, we would love, love, love to hear about it in the comments. So as for tracking, since that's the ultimate objective that we started with, I follow the same ritual for recording that I do with all of the pillars. So each evening I go through a process of reflection on my day. It's like a personal accountability method for the areas in my life that I have specifically said are really important to me. When I go into my daily reflection, I think about that particular pillar, what it means to me, what I'm trying to accomplish with the goals that I have set. And really the most important key in that process is intention. Not just if I was engaged, but was I intentionally present in that particular area? The guidelines for giving for me are really super simple. Did I intentionally make a point to give of myself today in some way? I'll be super honest. Some days that intention is simply to smile at as many people as possible that I cross paths with in an extremely busy day where I literally have no extra time to do anything else. But the point is to be intentional. I thought about how I could give in some way to another. And you never know when just a simple smile is the acknowledgement that someone else needed to feel like they were seen. In a time where suicide is extremely prevalent, just acknowledging someone exists can literally be life-changing. So how do I record this? In case you didn't happen to watch the very first episode in the series, I use a simple stoplight system. I use graph paper to map out a quarter of the year at a time so that I don't have to recreate it too often, which has the potential to halt my progress, because we want this to be easy, right? Each day has its own box on the sheet in the columns. Giving has its own row. I look up giving on the left and the date at the top, and I match those up. And if I know that I met my goal of being intentional in some way, giving of some possibility of myself, some option of giving in some way, then I color it in green. If I ended up completing that goal, but I wasn't necessarily intentional about it, I ended up giving on a spur of the moment opportunity, but I didn't plan that, then it gets a yellow. And if I didn't have any opportunity to give of myself in any way on that day, then it goes in hot pink. So I never want it to feel like it is a bad thing. So I don't use the color red. That's why I choose pink instead. I just want it to be something that makes you aware of where are your opportunities to be intentional with the life that you want to create for yourself. You can make this as simple or as full as you choose. It could simply be coloring in the boxes like it is for me, or it could take on full journal form, which it did for me in the beginning. or you can settle in somewhere in between. What it looks like is literally completely up to you. What I will say is just begin. Take the opportunity to reflect on your goals and how you want to spend your time cultivating the opportunities to really dig deep into who you want to be. I promise you, you will thank yourself in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me, and I hope this dose of WHIM helps you go after what you dream of in your one unique life. Until next time, remember to share the goodness. Thank you so much for tuning in to the My WHIM Life show today. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of the goodness.